Hey, real estate rock stars. It is Christina Leavenworth, and you are in for a treat today. We are talking to William Holder. He is a team leader out of Pennsylvania, and he started back in 2015 and quickly was just a success, selling 50 homes a year. Started a team, but was like, hey, this model isn't working. Figured out a whole new model. Definitely a back to the basics type of guy, showing you that really you could be successful in real estate in any way if you put your mind to it. So, you guys are going to love this interview. Okay, William Holder, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very, very good. We're excited to have you here on Real Estate Rockstars. We typically like to just have people tell us a little bit about who they are, where they're from. So, go for it.
Awesome. Well, said my name's William Holder. I run the William Holder Realty team. We're part of Real of Pennsylvania. I have been a team leader for about 5 years now, and I've been a full-time agent for 10 total. I grew up in the Caribbean. I grew up in a country called Trinidad. Moved here in 2002 when I was 15 years old, and didn't really have it was a couple years before I graduated high school. Didn't really have a direction or really any idea of what I was going to do with my life, and like everyone, kind of stumbled through a bunch of jobs. Always worked a lot of jobs, just never knew which one I wanted. Got into banking in 2007, which is probably one of the worst times to get into banking. Saw that financial crisis happen. Saw the mortgage industry tank. Saw people lose a lot of their retirements. It was pretty depressing time, and I just learned that I really couldn't do this forever. There was a limit to what I could do in the banking world. And around 2011, I bought my first house, and I loved the process. I mean, our agent was one of our good friends. It was actually her only sale ever because she didn't like the industry as much as I did, I guess. And I loved it, but I really didn't want to be a realtor. I actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad like most people do, and wanted to be an investor. So I read that book. I'm like, I'm going to be a real estate investor. And then I realized, oh, I don't have any money, so can't do that. So quickly had to course correct and decided to sell some properties to some friends and family, and just really liked it a lot. Like, I liked every aspect of it. I liked that I was my own boss. I liked that I was independent. I liked that I could go out whenever I needed to, and started to hate my regular job because of it. So about 2015, I just jumped right in. Tough pill to swallow because I had a wedding a year out. I had a mortgage. I had responsibilities, and went cold turkey and went into real estate. And it was the scariest but best decision I've ever made.
So 95% of agents fail. You mentioned your agent. You were her one and only home sold. How did you make it that first year? Having like all those bills and nothing really to fall back on.
Yeah, I tell this to all my agents on our team now. That first year, if they saw me, I was literally throwing everything at the wall. Right? I At that time, podcasts weren't as big, so it was mostly YouTube. So I'm on YouTube looking up what every agent's doing: expireds, for sale by owners, door knocking, mailers, circle. I mean, I was literally trying everything under the sun. I joke with my neighbor still to this day because back then he runs a pharmaceutical sales department, and he saw me starting to sell these houses, and he's like, dude, how are you building this up this quickly? And I was like, I'm making at least 50 calls a day. And he's like, I got guys out of college making 100 grand a year that won't make 3 4 calls a day. Right? And I'm like, I can't fail. I cannot fail. I have to pay my mortgage, and I have to afford this wedding, and it's just going to work. It has to work. And I think it's that mentality of like, it was feast or famine, and I had to keep going. And that drove me to marginal success my first year. Like, that first 6 months, I only sold 9 homes. I had just moved over to a Remax franchise, and I wasn't on a great split, so it wasn't making a lot of money. And but I was working constantly and making every contact in the world. And then my full first year, which was 2016, I ended up selling 36 homes. And then, but I attribute that to everything I did in 2015, right? Like, just hitting it hard in every aspect. And then 2017, 40, then 45, then 70, then 70 again. And that's when I started the team.
We have a similar journey. Mine was very similar to that. And honestly, being at the DMV, wearing that name tag, talking to anybody. The other day, I was coaching a team member, and I'm like, you need to be like prospecting when you pee. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Christina, you have officially become crazy. But that type of mentality where you're just like looking for anything, how do you teach that though? People say they want that. Mine was a feast or famine type thing too, nothing else to lean back on. But yeah, I don't know. Not all agents have that.
It's really, really, really hard. And it's hard to know the agents that are going to do it from just the interviews, right? And, I've heard team leaders say, oh, you do a disc test and you do all of these things. I've tried all of that. And to me, there's ways to like eliminate maybe some aspects of people, but for the most part, I think it's in them already, right? And this industry either draws it out of them or it doesn't. And I'm obsessed with real estate, right? Like it's everything I do. My wife rolls my eyes whenever we're at parties because I'm always talking about real estate, right? And I want people like that around me. So like I say to agents when they're joining our team, like if you're not ready to eat, breathe, and sleep real estate, you're joining the wrong team. Like it's all I want to do. I'm messaging my team late. I'm adding new systems. I like to deny that I have ADHD, but it feeds into that. And I'm just obsessed with it, and I'm obsessed with building a platform that gives agents that ability to jump into the industry and build up way faster than I did. Which is but it takes the right people. You could see someone, you're like, that person's going to be great. And then you actually get them on boarded and you get them in and you're like, why aren't they making any calls today? What am I missing here? Like, what about all these trainings and coachings isn't clicking? And I think that's already in them. I think you're just drawing it out of them with your systems, your coachings, your process, and they see the light at the end of the tunnel if they really bite onto it.
So you had mentioned there's things you would have done differently that first year. What are some of those things that would have made you scale so much faster?
I think a lot of agents in general have we're entrepreneurial. We have shiny object syndrome. Like we see the next shiny object and we just go after it. And I have still have that to this day. I have to reel myself in all the time, right? And I really, really, really try to impart that on my agents. It's the number one thing that's going to make you money is your phone. We can have all of the fancy gadgets in the world. We have the best CRM. We have these awesome AI programs and all these different things. And if I were to strip all of that away, if you're not making your phone calls, nothing matters, right? None of this matters. And I didn't come into this industry with any sort of sphere or anyone that was in the industry before me. I just had to learn it and I tried way too many things. If I had stuck to like three things, I think I would have scaled even faster. I probably would have started the team sooner. And that's kind of one of the main things I try to teach my agents. On a team, you're getting fed leads and you have all the systems and all the processes and all the training and all the bells and whistles, but don't try to go do everything. Don't try to be the social media influencer and have a billboard and, be an expired guy. Like pick one or two things on top of your social media, your team leads, and really focus on being great at those two things versus trying to do everything. Because that's, I think, where most agents fail. They get overwhelmed by all of the possible options that are out there for them.
100%. Like if they're wanting to do open houses, I'm like, you study every single script on open houses. You listen to every single podcast on open houses. You walk through your house doing open house scripts and do this all day long rather than doing, oh, I'm going to go open house and then I'm going to do door knocking, then I'm going to do pop buys, and then I'm going to this networking event. And yeah, it dilutes the strength of it 100%. So you have 22 people on your team. That's a pretty big size team.
Yeah, we're growing at a rapid pace. I for a long time was kind of stunted by the model I was in and was really afraid to bring on agents because of the expense of bringing on agents, right? And I think a lot of good team leaders are kind of stuck in that way as well, where they're not in a position where they can add agents freely without worrying about what that's going to cost them. And I would look at every potential agent as like, there's 6 grand this year that might or might not work out for me, based on my fees with our previous brokerage. And I think, once I was able to switch that model and get a better model that allowed me to grow, the attraction happened, right? I don't think you can just become a really good, or you're born a really good team leader, or you can just become a really good team leader. I think I'm working on it every day. Who I am today is very different than who I was 5 years ago. And I'm constantly working on it. I'm obsessed with just being a better leader and building a stronger business and just being like relentless in the pursuit of the perfect client experience, which to me, my clients are my clients, but my clients are also my agents, right? My clients are my agents, and I'm trying to give them a perfect situation to be a part of so they can go out and crush, right? And those are the people I want around me. I want those people that are going to want to do 20, 30, 50 million a year and invest in real estate and partner with me on deals. Like those are the agents I want. My agents that aren't doing a lot, I'm like, come into the office. Let's do a one on one. Like, let's sit down. Let me coach you on more things. How can I help you? Because it's hurting me to see you not succeed. I think sometimes more than it hurts them. And I'm learning and constantly training on how to be a better coach and trainer for my agents to build this model that I want to build for them.
So, what was your model like, and what have you switched over to?
So we used to be with Remax, and I was with Remax from 2014 to, and I went full time in 2015 to 2022. I was just a Remax agent and then a team leader. And 22, my partners who owned this Remax franchise for 40 years asked me to join up with them and help them recruit and grow the brokerage. I mean, it was painful. It was like pulling teeth trying to get people to join. You know how hard it is to go out and tell new agents like, "Hey, you got to pay monthly fees regardless." Like it doesn't work in this world
It's old
anymore.
school. Yeah, it's old school. No one's doing it.
No, and we're located right outside of Philadelphia. We're on the border of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So I started selling in New Jersey and Delaware, and I had to be at different brokerages with different
Mm.
franchises and have different CRMs, and I couldn't manage my team under one. It was just so clunky, and I begged for them to try to improve this, and it just felt like I did in banking, where I'm waiting for corporate to make decisions, and it's going to take 6 months to a year, and let's push it to the next meeting. So we shopped around. I was actually thinking about going independent because I didn't want to do this again. And finally landed on Real Brokerage, which we've been with for some time now. And it's awesome. Whoever wants to do whatever they want to do in life, do it. But for me, it's perfect, right? It kind of lets me operate the way I want to operate. It lets me build a brokerage within their brokerage, as well as my team, and have different models. And it gives me what I want, which is agent loyalty, right? I'm putting so much into my agents, like literally spending time away from my family, which is the number one thing for me to train agents. And I lose sleep at night thinking I'm going to build up these pillars, these monster agents, and then they're just going to go start their own team. And to me, I'm happy for them, but at the same time, it's income lost, right? It's time lost. So in this model, I can show them how to build downlines, which improves the chances of them staying with the company, right? And if they decide to break off and start their own team, which I'm happy for them at that point, it benefits me as well because they're now recruiting which to my downline, right? So
Yeah.
it's a system that feeds itself. And I'm sure there's other models out there I'm not aware of, but I spent 9 months trying to decide where we wanted to go, and this is just the one that worked for me the best. Whatever works for you works for you. This worked for us. It also allowed us, my partners and I, to say, okay, well, we have locations. We can build a brokerage within this brokerage, right? They let us. We're not allowed to private label in Pennsylvania, but they allowed us to create our own shop. So we have our own locations, and we provide benefits to agents like in-house title company that they can have shares in and other ancillary services to build that brand loyalty and to build agents that are making money. And for me, that's the biggest thing. Like I have a cap on how much I take from my agents. Like I don't want to suck agents dry. I want to build a model where my agents are just as successful and I'm worth more to them than they are to me. That's what makes me feel good about this. So in this model, I can do that. In this model, I can give them back more than I'm ever taking from them, and I'm already am. So I know it's working. So that's really been the biggest shift for us.
And your 22 team members, is it a traditional team, or are they all maybe different? Like maybe some are joining more as a brokerage, but while others, it's, typical 50 split?
No, we're on our team. The 22 agents are actually on my team, the William Holder Realty team. We have five. Our structures. We have five staff members, two transaction coordinators, a listing coordinator, an operations manager, a marketer, and a bookkeeper, and myself. I'm the team lead, sales coach, recruiter. I still sell. I like to produce. I don't think I ever want to not produce. Our agents, when they come in, they start on a 50-50 split, but over time they tier up and they get to a point where they're 70-30. And I like to keep them their lifetime. My goal is to get them to a point. I also have a cap on how much I take for them. So when agents pay in 50,000 to the company on an annual basis, we jump them up to a 90-10. And we're working on some other models too, like pod leaders that can actually earn more on an annual basis and train within our team. So that's our model right now. It's ever evolving. There's no monthly fees. We provide them with all the systems. Like we have, Follow Up Boss and Shiloh
Mhm.
and Broker Blocks and Fellow and all the nice things that agents want to operate in this market. Like I have an AI assistant, things like that the team pays for and the agents are benefiting from, and they get to have shares in our title company, and they get to bring in a downline. I'll help them build a downline. So there's other things we're offering. We do have a brokerage option as well, which honestly we don't take any more than Real offers. Real does a 85-15 up to a 12K split. Real allows you to be flexible with that. They allow you to, if you want to create a brokerage model and take a portion of that or charge fees or add to it, you can.
Mhm.
We don't. We're just basing it on the downline, right? We're saying if you want to be a part of our brokerage, use our services, not be on any of our teams, not get all of those services, but you want a place to hang your license and transact and have a title company and all of that, you can do that here. Just name us, as your sponsor and use our ancillary services, which you could be a part of. And that's an income producer for us. That's a model for us that, I'm not the broker anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
That was the worst part. When I became the office manager slash broker, it was a depressing point. It was like
Yeah.
you're just dealing with all of the problems
Yeah.
and you're not making a lot of money doing it, and you're hoping this works out. I didn't want to do that. I'm a real estate agent. I like building businesses. I like selling. I like the pursuit of a perfect client experience, and being a broker is not that.
Yeah, no, 100%. What is working in your market right now?
So we're a very flexible team. Actually, up to this point, we never had like a Zillow Flex account. We just actually got that. But like I've coached my agents on what their strengths are, right? I very much believe in the hunter gatherer mentality. It really depends on what works for you. I'm a gatherer. I like people having open houses and seminars and in-person meetups. That's good for me and leads coming to me, right? I have agents that are hunters that will call expireds and FISBOs and circle prospect or go door knock, and you have to figure out what that agent's personality is, and when you figure that out, you point them in that direction and you help them sharpen those skills. So it's important for me to be able to train them on everything. I have agents that kill at open houses. I have agents that kill at FISBOs. I have agents that are murdering expired. It's like, and then we have agents that they are really good at the realtor.com leads and the Zillow leads and the ones coming in that are a bit warmer, that they convert on better than the hunters do, right? So for me, everything works in our market. We've grown year over year, regardless of how crappy things have been. In 2023, we had an up year. In 2024, we had an up year. 2025, we're having our biggest up year. And now that I'm able to recruit agents freely, we're having an even bigger up year. So it's always, I don't think, I mean, yes, your brokerage can stunt you a little bit, but I've always said this, it's the agent. It's on you. And it doesn't matter where you are. You're going to be successful here. You're going to be successful somewhere else. Just find a system that gets you the most profit. And that's been big for us. We have leaned in heavily to AI. I think in this world, you're either in or you're out, when it comes to that. I think people that are fighting back against that are in a losing battle, and if the robots take over, I want to be their friend. I don't want I don't want them to say that guy didn't adopt us. So we're using Shiloh for AI and role play. We have AI assistants that help us keep our CRM up to date, and we're using chat GPT in every aspect of our business. Like I have a chat agent set up that connects to my Shiloh and my follow up boss and our Zillow and all of the others, our fellow, and it puts out a report every week that goes to my agent that says, hey, based on these four systems, here's a breakdown of what you've been doing well and what you're not doing well. And let's discuss this on our meeting. And that's automated for me, right?
That's
So,
awesome.
like, not to knock on sales managers, but that's their job that, AI is essentially doing. And as a team, if you're trying to scale and be profitable, that's a position that maybe can be, can you don't need as quickly. You'll need eventually, but you don't need as quickly. And people ask, how am I coaching and training and recruiting 22 agents up to this point? Honestly, just using systems, right? Like taking advantage of the AI and technology that's available to us.
Yeah. So, being a team leader as well, it's not the financial stuff as much, it's more the emotional toll of taking on new agents. And a lot of people say when you're between 6 and 10 agents, you're kind of in the messy middle. Like, yeah, you're profitable, you're doing well, but you're still making kind of small-minded decisions versus being at that 22 level. You're able to, I think, probably make faster decisions and not so emotionally involved, or does that never go away?
Yeah, I don't know what the perfect solution to that is because I think people talk about having a team, and they don't really realize there's a bell curve to your productivity, right? You are when you're an individual agent, you're really, really profitable. And then when you add an assistant, your profit goes down, but then it comes back up, right? Then you add agents, and the first few it's profitable, but then you have to add more staff. So you're adding more staff, more systems, and your profit is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until you find your curve. And there's ways you can find your curve. I'm glad that I've tapped into people way smarter than myself that show me how they've built their powerful teams. I think the number one thing is profit per agent, right? If you boil it down to what are you walking away with every transaction from an agent, and people, it's very, very low, right? Like it can be $1,000, $1,500 sometimes. You look at that number and you figure out, okay, well then how many transactions per month do I need to do as a team? And if my team's averaging 11 or 12 transactions per agent, how many agents do I need to hit that number? Right? You reverse engineer the math, just like everything. Like for me, real estate, investing, it's all math, right? It's fun, but it's math. There's emotion involved, but it's math. It's you need to make 50 contacts to a sale. You need to make 10 offers to a good investment, right? Just like that, you need to figure out how many agents is it going to take for you to get to your monthly profit, your month cover your expenses, so you can roll back on your production and then continue to build your business. That's been the biggest key is just paying attention to that number, paying attention to all the numbers, but paying attention to that number. And I think a lot of people, if they knew how long it actually took to get there, they probably would have a thought about starting a team.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think for sure. Well, and again, it's a family. It's a family, and you have all the emotions of a family, you have the drama of a family, and it takes you a little while to navigate that.
Yeah, you better want to be a leader.
Yeah.
You better want to take on all of that. 'Cause just like with your clients and the emotional roller coaster of being a realtor, you're a therapist, you're a financial advisor, you're a coach, you're a realtor, you're an engineer. It's the same thing. It's a team leader.
With clients, though, it's for, 30 to 60 days, and then you get to hug them and, kiss babies. But with your team, it's day in and day out. And it's a different dynamic that team leaders definitely, have to figure out how to do. But no, this
Yeah,
has been awesome. I love everything you said. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you think that are the agents that are listening that would be a game changer for them?
I think there's a few things. I mean, number one, I really do think coaching and culture is huge, like you mentioned. I think having people around you that are successful and are doing well is very, very important. I don't know any agents that are surrounded by negative energy that are doing well, right? It's just not, at least not, maybe they're out there, but I don't see it. So finding a coach, or a team leader that can get you there, or a broker, or whatever that is for you, is super important. And that's something I would have started way earlier if I had known. And then I get coached. I coach my agents. I coach agents in our office. I'm coached by agents where I want to be, right? I want to be a team that's doing $1 billion a year, right? At some point in my life. So I need to talk to people that are way ahead of me so that I can figure out how to get there, right? So I think coaching is really, really important, leading into systems and AI as much as possible. And then at the micro level, like I say this to my agents on my team as well, like look at your business as three aspects. You have CEO work, you have COO work, and you have CFO work, and break down what that looks like. And then break that down into what are the bare essentials you need to do every day to be a successful real estate agent, right? Don't look at all of the agents on Instagram with their Bugattis and their 100 properties. Like that's not real, right? If there's four things you have to do every day, and this is important for part-time agents because if you're trying to be a full-time agent and you're starting from a part-time position, you have to have four things you're doing every day, regardless of how hard your day is, right? Doesn't matter if the kids are sick or work was tough or anything. You have to make your contacts. You have to have a minimum number. If that's 15, if it's 50, whatever it is, you have to make a social media post or interact with people on social media. You have to do some sort of scripting and you got to book an appointment. If you're not trying to do at least those four things every day, you're a hobbyist. You're a hobbyist. You're not a real estate agent, right? That's a really, really painful thing for some people to swallow because they just think, I'm going to come in and I'm going to get lucky and get a referral from a family member and I'm going to build this thing. And they never actually make it a business. And that to me is the biggest part of this is really taking this seriously and thinking of it as a business. Because when you hear stats like 70% of realtors sold one or less home last year, and you're like, Jesus, that means I'm going to have to do transactions with that person. And
Yeah.
that's going to be so rough, right, for everyone involved. And I'm going to be basically coaching them and their client through this transaction, which leaves us all liable for issues. That scares me. I want to be working in an industry with professionals. I want to be working in an industry with people that care about their clients and are pursuing this perfect experience. If you're not on that journey and you don't see this job this way, then do something else. There's other ways to make money.
No, I love it. Well, thank you, William. How can people find you?
I'm at William Holder Realty on pretty much everything. Instagram, TikTok. We're on TikTok. Or
You're not
Facebook.
a secret agent.
No,
Yeah.
Will at williamholderrealty.com is my email, or you can call or text me 484-744-4053. I try to be out there. I do investor seminars. I try to help agents in every aspect they can, even if they're not on my team. I'm coaching agents other places as well, too. And I just think it's really, really important to have dedicated agents to this craft. So I'd love to hear from you.
I love it. Well, thank you, William. And Real Estate Rockstars can't wait to hang next time.
Awesome. Thanks for this.